Hello, everybody. I'm Jaime López Díaz, professor of audiovisual communication at University Complutense of Madrid in Spain. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about sustainable development goals of United Nations and Asian cinema. If we go at the data in Spain offered by the Ministry of Culture and Sport, we see that Japan is the Asian country that has exhibited more films in Spanish screens between 2015 and 2020, followed by India, South Korea, and China. On the other hand, as we see in this graph, according to UNESCO data, the Asian country, and actually the country of the world that produces more films per year, is India, followed by China, Japan, and South Korea. For this reason, we have chosen to focus this presentation on the cinema of Japan and the cinema of India. In Japanese cinema, we will focus on Goal 16, Peace, Justice, and Strong Institutions. Promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. Japan is particularly sensitive to this goal, having suffered the ravages of two atomic bombs dropped on civilians in Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945. That, in addition to all of the consequences of its defeat in World War II. After its defeat in 1945, Japan adopted a constitution in 1947, which Article 9 states that, point 1, aspiring sincerely to an international peace based on justice and order, the Japanese people forever renounce war as a sovereign right of the nation and the threat or use of force as means of settling international disputes. Point 2. In order to accomplish the aim of the preceding paragraph, land, sea, and air forces, as well as other war potential, will never be sustained. The right of belligerency of the state will not be recognized. In other words, the Japanese movement could not maintain military forces with war potential. Later, in 1954, a defensive army was created, and it has participated in peacekeeping missions, which has often created controversy from Japanese pacifist groups. The question is, how is this sustainable development goal reflected in Japanese cinema? To answer these questions, we're going to focus on Japanese animated films. Generally speaking, we can observe two types of addressing sustainable development goals in films. One, showing in the film the problem to be solved, and two, showing the problem as well as a possible solution. An example of the first possibility is Grave of the Fireflies, a movie by director Isao Takahata, released in 1988. Isao Takahata is one of the founders of Studio Ghibli. He's known for being the director of the television series Heidi, the Little Girl from the Alps. He died in 2018. Director Hayao Miyazaki said of him in 1998 that his meeting with him was the most important event since he was an animator. Grave of the Fireflies is the adaptation of a short story, homonymous and semi-autobiographical, published in 1967 by writer Akiyuki Nosaka. The story is about two siblings, 9-year-old Seita and his younger sister, 4-year-old Setsuko, after the firebombing of Kobe on June 5, 1945. According to researcher Daisuke Akimoto at Soka University in Tokyo, Japan, the three types of violence that sociologist John Galton described in wartime conflicts can be identified in this film: physical violence, psychological violence, and structural violence. Physical violence appears in the first part of the movie, with the firebombings. The city of Kobe is severely damaged. Seita and Setsuko lose their mother, a victim of burns from the bombs, as well as their house. Let's look at a scene from the movie. For copyright reasons, we cannot show clips from the films we are going to comment on. Instead, we will show screenshots with their corresponding subtitles. We hope you will forgive us for any inconvenience this may cause you. Therefore, we recommend watching the selected films or the fragments of them referenced in this presentation to better visualize the content. Likewise, the music that accompanies the montage of stills shown does not belong to these movies. After the bombing, both children seek shelter at their aunt's house, but she's increasingly hostile towards her nephews, to the point of suggesting that they leave after telling them to make their own food. Let's remember that they are small children, but it is the mentality of man is wolf to man that often provokes warlike conflicts, the so-called psychological violence. Finally, the film shows us an example of a structural violence, that is, the violence due to the way the community is organized. In this case, the two siblings leave their aunt's house and they go to live in an abandoned shelter by a lake. At first, the place seems ideal, but the fact that the community is not organized to provide food, shelter, and proper medical treatment to children causes them to die, even when the war is over. Researcher Akimoto thinks that Grave of the Fireflies is a good material for peace education because although both the film's director, Isao Takahata, and the author of the story, Akiyuki Nosaka, think that it is a war story and that it is not an anti-war story. Akimoto explains that after watching the film, elementary school students expressed their anti-war sentiments, saying that they felt sorry for Seita and Setsuko, and that the war is scary and tragic, and that war should never be repeated. Two, there are no battle scenes in the film, and therefore the film does not contribute to military education, but peace education. This movie can convey the horror of war so that students can remember the Asia Pacific War. Four, the negative image of the war as violence causes an anti-war sentiment inside the hearts of audience, and therefore it is fair to assume that this film can be categorized as an anti-war film. Finally, let's say that this movie has been compared to The Schindler's List by Steven Spielberg. In the case of India, we are going to focus on development objective number 4, quality of education, which is about to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. This goal is often associated with poverty and health, especially mental health, in higher education centers. India has many problems and challenges with respect to education. Only 15% of students reach secondary school, and only 7% reach university or higher education. In this presentation, we will focus on higher education and access to it. As the graph shows, between 1970 and 2012, the number of universities in India has increased sixfold and the number of colleges ninefold. Researchers say highlights several problems in Indian education. Some of them are low rate of enrollment, low equity in some states, poor quality of education, poor infrastructures, political interference, faculty shortage, research and innovation, low rate of citations worldwide of Indian research, and over-centralization, bureaucratic structures, and lack of accountability, transparency, and professionalism in the management of higher education. Moreover, Sheikh makes several suggestions for improving the system of higher education, which are implement innovative and transformational approaches from primary to higher education, to improve quality and reputation, improve the infrastructure of colleges and universities which may attract the students, collaboration between Indian higher education institutes and top international institutes, reduce unnecessary rush to higher education by providing graduate students such courses in which they can achieve excellence, gain a deeper knowledge of the subject so that they will get jobs. Universities and colleges, both public and private, must be away from political affiliations. Favoritism and money-making process should be out of the education system, and multidisciplinary approach in higher education. In this presentation, with respect to higher education and Indian cinema, we're going to focus on 2 problems. A very competitive system which may lead to mental disorders like suicide, and lack of money to cover quality education for the entire population. In India, there are more than 20 Indian institutes of technology, which are the elite education centers for engineering, studies that guarantee well-paying jobs in India or abroad. Getting into them requires passing very competitive exams, which often exclude many good students living in poverty. On the other hand, once you get into these top institutions or others like them, the competition remains very high and can lead to mental illness and even suicide for many students. Thus, according to the Ministry of Education of India, 34 students committed suicide at Indian Institutes of Technology between 2014 and 2021. 18 of the students were from scheduled castes and other backward class communities, that is, from very economically depressed communities. This reality has been portrayed in several films. In the documentary genre, we can highlight the film Placebo. The setting is not an Indian Institute of Technology, but the All Indian Institute of Medical Sciences in New Delhi, also known as AIIMS Delhi, which is a top university for medical studies. Student at this center gets a severe cut on his arm, which affects his performance in an extra-competitive educational environment. His brother travels to film a documentary about the recovery process and takes the opportunity to document other student problems. While there, students commit suicide. This leads to protests to prevent mental illness on campus. Suicide in such elite universities or colleges has also been addressed by Bollywood. Perhaps the best known example is the comedy Three Idiots, which broke all box office records in Indian cinema on its release in 2009. It tells the story of three students led by Bollywood star Amir Khan at the fictional Indian Institute of Technology in Delhi, the Imperial College of Engineering. As usual in Bollywood cinema, the film contains numerous genres comedy, love, musical, and also tragic parts. But Bollywood also has films that deal with education from the perspective of the epic, of overcoming difficulties. This is the case of Super 30 by director Vikas Bal, released in 2019. It is a story based on the life of mathematics teacher Anand Kumar, who runs a prestigious school dedicated to preparing students with few economic resources for the entrance exams of the Indian Institutes of Technology. The actor who plays Anand Kumar is Bollywood star Hrithik Roshan, who won several awards and nominations for his performance. The film presents poverty as a hardship that can end a promising career. That was the case of Anand Kumar himself, who was invited to study mathematics at Cambridge University after winning a prestigious mathematics award in India, but he's not able to get the money to travel there, travel to the United Kingdom. After working selling food on a bicycle, he's hired by a school that prepares for the very tough entrance exams to the Indian Institutes of Technology. It is an elite school that costs a lot of money to attend. Despite being comfortable there, everything changes when Anand Kumar encounters students who are highly intelligent but without resources. The same thing that had happened to him. Then he decides to open a school for these students. He can only teach 30 students each year. This initiative, however, annoys the managers of the more expensive exam preparation centers, and this poses a risk to his life. Finally, as in so many Bollywood movies, we witness a happy ending. To conclude, we may say that sustainable development goals are present, even common, in Asian films, as some of these goals are targets of Asian societies. We have seen examples in Japanese and Indian cinema, but we can find examples in Chinese cinema, South Korean cinema, and all of Asian film industries. If you have any questions, please write to my email address. Thank you very much for your attention.